Hello, hello, and welcome to the Everyday Healthy Human podcast. My name is Jen Rulon, and some of you may know me as Coach Jen. Well, today I have a very special guest, athlete, friend, coach, Tim Tarpley. And Tim and I connected a couple years ago. I think, like we talked about it, I think we were friends on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And then we had a conversation. I was driving to Ironman, Florida in 2021 to go coach Jeff Anderegg. And we just had a really good connection and good bond. And we became Insta friends. And then I became your coach for a couple Ironmans. And voila. So welcome, Tim. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. That's so formal. Like it's so special guest. Like I feel so special.
Well, you are. I mean, I love our connection just because of as a coach to coach, right? Athlete to athlete, business owner to business owner. But we've connected on so many different levels, right? Just not just like an athlete coach type of conversation, right? So,
Yeah.
can you tell everybody about who you are and what you're all about?
Yeah. So I'm Tim Tarpley. I'm a Pisces. No, I live in Fort
No wonder we
Worth.
get along. I'm a Scorpio. We're water babies.
Yeah. I'm
Mm.
in Fort Worth where it's like super hot right now.
Yeah, right.
But I'm like, yeah, these people are crying about it. I'm like, y'all are just babies. But yeah, I struggled to figure out what to call myself because I've been in the triathlon world for over 20 years. I would say 20 years for a long time. I'm like, crap, it's been 25, right? So I've been doing this for a very long time and as an athlete and a coach. And then it was like I kind of got away from that. And because I realized, if someone's not training how like they're supposed to, it's because it's their brain. It's not really their physical. They can't put their shoes on, right? It's because they don't want to. And so I went more in that mental side of it. And so I'm not a fan of the term life coach. So I just call myself a life enhancement specialist because that's kind of a
Oh, I like
big insurance
it.
blanket, right? And then,
Right.
yeah. And so I get people, they'll reach out to me all the time and they're like, I need your help. I'm like, great. Why? And they're like, I don't know. I think I might be depressed. I'm like, so I meet with them. I'm like, yeah, you're not depressed. You're just lost. So it's just,
Yeah.
it just takes me wherever I allow it to go. So
I love it.
yeah,
I love
there you
it.
go.
Um, I love it. So I was very moved by your story in 2020. As we all know, we all dealt with 2020 and issues with 2020. But can you share your I don't know, do you say experience, moment of 2020 that truly changed your life?
Yeah, yeah. Like I was, yeah, I just tell people my 2020 was probably different than yours, but it's funny. I was in Florida. I had a guy doing the double anvil to double Ironman race, right? Very unique race. We were there in March and it was like everything started shutting down. We're like, what is
Mm,
happening? Disney World just shut down. Like, this is crazy. And then we drove back and it's like, okay, 2 days later, the whole world's shutting down. And I
right.
was like, I made the joke to a lot of people. I was like, because people wanted to party and still be out. And I was like, you know what this is? This is thinning of the herd, right? Didn't know it'd be my own herd. But my parents
Right.
both passed away holding hands in the hospital within about
Mm,
45 minutes of each other from COVID. And they were, 83. They were older. And it's funny, they were just both ready to go. So it was like,
yeah.
and I thought about this. So I get these thoughts in my brain and I'm like, not to kind of change the subject, but it's kind of
No, you're good.
evolving to something
No.
else. But I was like, three, and I was on every possible news channel, everything all over the world, right? And it was they were making it out to be this great love story. And I'm like, hold on. Finally, the last couple of interviews, I'm like, hold on, it wasn't love that brought their beds together across the hospital because they were literally fighting minutes before I took them to the hospital, right? Like it wasn't like, I mean, they were
Right.
together, but when you're that old, yeah, you're in love, but I mean, you have love, but anyway. And I was like, it wasn't love that brought their beds together, magnetically pull, whatever. That's not what
Right.
happened. It was the workers in the hospital that took it upon themselves to make this happen, right? So
Hmm.
I thought about this the other day because it was June 18th that they passed. And I was
Oh,
like, 3 years ago, millions of people
right.
knew their names, knew their story. And here we are 3 days later, and maybe 100 people have even thought about them again, right? I was like, they didn't
Right.
have a legacy. So it's like
Right.
they had a good life, but they didn't have that legacy that keeps going forever and ever and ever. It's like there's certain
Hmm.
people, actors and celebrities that they do something great in the world that just lives forever. And that's kind of what we should be doing as humans is trying to find that one thing. And I think
Mm.
we're both kind of on that path just to make that difference for that one
Yeah.
person. Now, it might be that, somebody we coach or work with, their grandchildren talk about what an amazing coach, who knows? But yeah,
Right.
so that was my 2020. And then it was like, I kind of, I mean, I know you probably got another question, but it was like 2021. It was like, all right, what am I doing with this whole triathlon thing? I'm barely getting through races and shit. And what if I could cuss?
Right.
And I
Oh,
was like,
you could
what am
cuss.
I doing? Okay. And that's when I kind of like then started noticing you more. We had been friends on Facebook, but I started noticing you more
Right.
and more and more around. Usually half dressed, but it was, then that kind of here we are.
And here we are. And here you did 2 Ironmans with me.
Yeah.
And
Attempted
yep.
attempted Iowa, but
Oh, that's right.
yeah, I had COVID 10
That's
days
right.
before
That's
last year.
right. I totally forgot about that. That was last year,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
last June. Yeah, last June.
Oh my God, I
And it
totally
was
forgot about that. Because I remember us talking about it, and you're like, yeah, I have COVID. I'm like, well, you're not doing Ironman. You're like, well, I'm going to go up there. I'm like, oh gosh. And, and as a coach, like, you guys are adults, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to sit there and support you in any way I can. Do I agree with it? Not at all. But, like you needed to go up there and do your thing, and do what you could do, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing. So I felt like I was fighting a cold. I didn't feel like I was sick like I had it in 2020. I just felt like I was fighting a cold. And
Yeah.
my concern was I was about to leave, drive up to Iowa. I didn't want to get there and have a sinus infection because that's what it felt like. I was fighting a sinus infection. So
Oh,
I was like,
right.
I contacted the doctor, did the teledoc thing. They're like, well, it sounds like COVID. I'm like, no, I feel like I'm just fighting this. And they said, no, you need a test. Went on a test and it was positive. I'd already had it for 5 days. I didn't feel bad. I just felt like I was off. But this nurse practitioner said, well, just take prednisone just in case. I didn't have a good feeling about it. And I started it. Then when I realized it was COVID, I'm like, I think I should stop. And they go, no, go ahead and continue it. And that's what really made me overheat so badly during the race. I mean, it's like
Mhm.
prednisone just will jack your body up. You
Jack
had
you up.
that at a race.
I did. Now that we were talking about it, Ironman Coeur d'Alene, I was dealing with some major Achilles issues, and I went on the pack of prednisone, and I
Yeah.
remember crossing that finish line and just collapsing and buckling up, and I had to get 3 IVs.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's
I-
like
Yeah.
whenever you do that race and then like the roof of your mouth is just raw. Like you can't really it hurts to eat
Yes.
applesauce, right? It just is so raw. That's severe dehydration. Like I should have probably gotten an
Right.
IV, been to the hospital. There was no med tents, like it was so bad. But I was drinking 100 ounces of water per hour and I still could not stop. Like I could
Yeah.
not feel good. I'm like, yeah, this is the prednisone that I stopped taking 2 days before. I mean, I didn't have a
Right.
good feeling about it. I should have trusted my own gut, but
Yeah.
what are you
Eh,
gonna do? Live and learn.
what you gonna do? Live and learn.
It's
Exactly. So I
super
love I
expensive
love
lesson.
what you put. Seriously. On the form that I have you guys fill out, I love what you said about that you think fitness is the foundation of happiness. I know not everybody wants to do a triathlon, a marathon, or half marathon. So, what do you suggest to the followers to be that everyday healthy human and the fitness, like to that foundation of happiness?
So, I mean, I didn't realize this till much later, and you can probably attest to this. It doesn't matter how many races you win or how many times you go to Kona. That will not help you when you're 90 years old wanting to go get
Mhm.
your own mail. You know what I mean? Like those are just things we do along the way.
Right.
But if anything, we're hindering ourselves by pushing ourselves so much. So it's more if I can, if I'm competing in any races or training or things like that, the only thing I'm doing healthy wise for other people is inspiring them, showing them that
Right.
if this crazy guy can do it, maybe I can, you know what I mean? Like, I think
Uh-huh.
that's it. But I think people have to move, like
Yes.
I've got this weight loss challenge going on right now. It doesn't ever stop, but people are like, oh, I've got this or this. Will I be able to do this? I'm like, there's no crazy workouts. I don't believe anybody can train or work out like I can because I think I'm superhuman. But I'm like, you got to just move every day or most of the week. That's the key.
Agreed. Agreed.
And
And if you have, oh, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
And I was going to say, if you have if you have an iPhone, they have that fitness app now that like you need to move your ring. And I'm like, you know what? You could knock it down to 250 to 300 calories a day and make sure you move your ring every single day. Like make sure you complete that ring. Like that's just some type of movement. Like today, I knew I had interviews and I didn't want to do strength because my body needed a rest. So I was like, I'm going to go for a walk on the beach. Go figure, right? Like that's, but I walk quickly. It's not like a little jaunt, but I don't run, but I do walk. But yeah, you're right. It's that movement that's so
Well, I
important.
think anytime you can gamify it, it's going to be easier. Like that's where, like, my
Right.
podcast is called Level Up because I'm like, there's something about video games where you're stuck at this level for a while, and then once you get past it, that's a satisfaction. You might, go a
Right.
couple more levels, and then you're stuck again. And it's that pressure, and then the release of the pressure that we love as humans. And I'm like, if you can
Oh, that's
gamify it,
genius,
then
Tim.
it's better. Well, I was like,
Yeah. 100.
this is, yeah. I mean, meditation has made me like so conscious of the little things.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because it's gross. But anyway,
No,
yeah,
say
the
it.
pressure.
Say it.
Well, it's like I had a conversation with these other people the other day, and I'm like, there's something about when you go to the bathroom and your toilet looks like it's about to clog, and you see it rising up. You're like, what's about to happen? And then all of a sudden it goes, boom, and it goes down. You're like, woo, the pressure of it coming up,
Yes.
and then it released. I was like, that's life. Like we like that pressure,
That's life. Oh
and
my
then the
God.
release of
That's
it.
amazing. That's amazing. And sometimes like and sometimes in life you got to take that plunger, right?
Sometimes you can't wait it out.
Sometimes. No,
Yeah.
no, exactly. That's so funny. Um, what so the challenge for the nutrition challenge, like you said, it's an ongoing thing. What are you doing for them? What are you offering? I'm just curious myself, to
So
be honest with you.
I'm doing a 4 week weight loss challenge, and it's if you lose 10% of your body weight, it's $300 for 30 days. You lose half your body, or if you lose your 10% of your body weight, whatever that is, then I will give you half your money back if you keep it off for
Ooh,
6 weeks, right? I'll give $150 back.
yeah.
And so I had this client last year. She did not hit her 10%, but she kept doing the little things I was talking about. And in one
Hmm.
year's time, she lost 78 pounds. The pictures, she doesn't look anything the same. And it's amazing.
Amazing.
But you're like, she's kept doing these little things of like not drinking. And then,
Hmm.
like I just tell people the types of food and when you eat them are key with a little bit of movement. Like, don't become a runner. Don't
Hmm.
because train for a marathon or train for a triathlon is not a weight loss program.
No, it's
Everybody
not.
rewards themselves with food.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
And
It's true. Because I think, no, go ahead.
no, you
No, I was going to say, you're right. Because like I remember days I'd go out and do 6-hour bike rides, right? And then I'd be like, all right, Five Guys, here I go. Go get the double burger without the bun, chow down all the fries. Like, like I needed the energy, right? I needed the food. Was it the right decision? Probably not at that time, but I needed food. I didn't give a crap on what I was eating, and it's true. Like you just like training for an Ironman, it was not, I didn't lose weight doing that. Not at all.
yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
Rich Roll's podcast. There was Tim O'Donnell was on there, and his story is amazing. In 2021, he had a heart attack. He had the Widowmaker
That's right.
in the middle of a half Ironman, so he just slowed down, finished the race like 11th place while having a heart attack. And here's what's
Ama-
crazy is when you finish an endurance event and they do blood work, the enzymes from the stress you just put on your body are the exact same as a heart attack. So it's like they were like, "Oh no, you just did that." The doctors, the hospital was downplaying it, but he made the comment like sugar's really so bad. We all agree. And then what do we consume during all these races is sugar. And I'm like,
Sugar.
he goes, the sugar we've done for years probably weakened my heart because of the inflammation on my heart, which is a muscle. So it's like,
Right.
and I'm like, wow, like that makes so much sense. But it's like I teach clients, that if you take an 8-ounce glass of orange juice and an 8-ounce glass of Coke, the only difference is the caffeine in the Coke and the vitamins in the orange juice. Sugar
So
content
true.
is the same.
So true.
And we
Yep.
we don't think of it that way.
No. And people think juice um is healthy, but you
Yeah.
forget about that sugar content. Yeah. Yeah,
What it's like if
I've been watching. Go ahead.
Well, if you've ever made your own orange juice, you squeeze a whole orange, you're getting maybe 2 ounces, maybe of,
Like
of
that.
fluid,
Yeah.
and we're drinking
Yeah.
that. So you just ate 6 oranges, basically. It's like you'd never do that.
Right. Right,
But
exactly. No, I've been following he's the carnivore guy. There's a couple of them out there. His name is Paul. He's actually in Costa Rica right now, but he talks a lot about like the seed oils and eating meats and a lot of fruits that he eats, and it's interesting to learn about these things. And now things are popping up about the seed oils, and I'm starting to read about it. I'm like, man, I need to get people on there to talk about that because I know nothing, and it's more for me to learn than anything, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, and
Let
that's
me
the thing
ask
is
you
like,
this.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go. No,
Well,
go.
I was like, well, the information's all over. We have to choose just to go find it. But that's where people that
Yes.
are obese and well, it's like, do you know where the term obesity came from?
No.
Here's where it came from. They were doing a study on fat. The rat's name was obese, and that's how they made it into
No.
obesity. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I've done deep dives on this stuff, but it's like calorie counting has been so wrong for so long, and it's like what? So I teach my clients like a little piece of celery is 6 calories. Once you cook it, it becomes 36 calories. And so it's like basically all calories and calorie counting is a way of measuring energy, but it's 30% wrong
Right.
across the board. And the only reason Weight
Right.
Watchers and those things work is because you're eating the same kinds of food on a consistent basis, and
Right.
you gamified it. You know what I mean? Like you've made it more of a
Right.
points thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And when you add peanut butter or almond butter to the celery, that will add a whole bunch of more calories.
yeah, yeah,
Right, right. Um, let's talk a little bit about mindset because your Ironman Arizona, you had to dig deep mindset wise. And I want you to share with, the people that don't do Ironmans, like how can the mindset of an athlete, how can that help people apply in their everyday life?
okay. So it's like the way the way I explain it, this is very, very different, and people might go, "How'd you get here?" But it's like if you've ever owed a company or somebody money, right? A bill collector money, and you don't address it, you don't answer the phone, right? The calls keep coming, emails keep coming. And it's like that storm that's sitting out there, you know it's going to come eventually and hit you. Whereas if you just picked up the phone and said, "Hey, I can't pay for a couple weeks or a month," right? You avoid it by not addressing it right away. And it's kind of like in a race, if you start worrying about what's going to happen later on or how many things can go wrong, you're just feeding into that storm that may or may not get there, but you're kind of creating your own storm, you know? And
Right.
I think it's just you really have to use your imagination for good things, not what can go wrong, you know? And I think a lot of
Mhm.
people worry about, well, if I don't do this, then I'm going to get sick. Whereas if you go, man, if I do all these things, I'm going to be at the finish line. Like you can visualize the crap out of it. And that's the
Yeah.
best way to do it. And that's
Yeah.
all across every area of life.
Yeah. I agree. I remember getting ready for my last Ironman Florida 2019. And I remember crossing in front of my house, arms raised up, and I hear Mike Riley saying, "Jen Rulon, you are an Ironman." And I remember telling myself 10:46:27, 10:46:27. And I don't know why I came up with that number. It was just me trying to figure it out. And I talk about this on one of my podcasts. I think it was my fourth solo podcast, and I crossed the finish line at 10:46:47. Like, so I wasn't far off, but it was that manifestation. It was that mindset of just like, no, like this is what you're going to knock out. And it was the best time I ever had in an Ironman, and I'm like, done, you know? Um,
Yeah.
can you talk briefly about your Ironman Arizona
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. So
the challenge that you had from the swim alone?
yeah, I mean, I felt so good going into it, like,
I
it
know.
was amazing, and it was one of those things that, as I'm going into the water, like, everything was dialed in so perfect. I was going into the water, and they had told us the water was 60 degrees, but the air was in the 40s, and I just remember from some Austin many years ago, they canceled the swim because of the fog, think other races Tahoe when I did it, it was fog in the water you couldn't see, and I was like, if there's a if the air's 40 and the water's 60, we're gonna have some major fog or steam coming off the water, and there was none. And I was like, this is weird. And had they not said it was warmer than it was, I would put Vaseline on my face or my hands. I had booties on.
Sure.
And as soon as my face hit that water, I was like, holy crap, this is not 60 degrees. Like if water was 50, not 60, and it was just like, yeah, it takes your breath away, but it was one of those things you
Yeah.
just I was just in that water too long because I could not get warm. And it was like I remember thinking I was hitting somebody's leg in front of me with my hand when I was swimming, and I would look, there's no one there, and I couldn't feel my fingers. And so it was like they were numb from being in that cold. And it was just I was in the water too long, but I had always said for a while that the swim was so mental that I was getting bored and it was mental and I was thinking too much. And then I remember telling one of the kayaks, like at that bridge, that I was like, because waves are getting really rough. It was getting big swells and stuff. And I told one of the kayaks, I was like, I know what this means. And he goes, what? And I go, a lot of extractions right now. And there was a bunch of people being pulled out, but it's a boat pulling people out. And,
Yeah.
right after that race, first of the year, they changed the rules. And so that
Yeah.
swim would have been canceled. So that swim is always going to be at risk of getting canceled because of the new rules.
Right.
And so that just really, it threw me off, but it didn't, like it threw me off. And I was like, well, I just got to let
Yeah.
that go and just come on the next thing. But I could not get my bags open because my
Yeah.
fingers are so
Because
numb.
you were in transition for what, 25 minutes, 30?
Yeah, yeah, and I was not gonna take off my wetsuit, I was gonna wear it into the tent, and I heard someone yelled my name, and they put me down, started taking off. I have
Man.
no idea who it was, I don't know who this
Yeah.
person was, obviously a friend of mine or somebody that knew me. I'm kind of a big deal in my head, but, um, yeah, I was gonna leave it on just to try to get warm, but it was like,
Yeah.
now they took it off, and I was cold because the air was cold,
Oh.
Yeah,
Yep.
it just took a while to get
Yeah.
warmed up.
Yeah.
That was a
But you
shock, but
finished. You
yeah,
finished.
yeah, yeah. It was
You were
and
the
that's all
last,
very
right?
yeah, that's very confusing how they made me the
I
last
know, right?
official, and I'm like I told them, I was like, "I don't think I am." Like, "No, you are." And they're, like, winking at me. I'm like, "Okay." But,
Okay.
yeah, the bike was super that road was so rough, I don't ever remember it being that
Yeah.
rough, and it was, like, the wind was brutal, that can be, but it was a good race, It's like, even
Yeah.
if I didn't make that cutoff, I would still have chalked up to a good race. And then
Yeah.
it's like, as soon as we got to the car from the finish line, I felt myself starting to pass out. It's like I had to lay down.
Sure.
But it was also as soon as so go back, my watch was going dead, and I was gonna get my friend's watch just
Oh,
so I knew
right.
what time it was. And as soon as I put on her
Yeah.
watch, my heart was 37. I was like, okay, the hypothermia is coming back because it was cooler, it was dark, I'm not moving. I was like, I gotta get
Yeah.
moving. And then, uh-oh, mine just I just had it pop up on my screen. Okay. And then it said, I started to pass out in the parking lot. I laid down by the car, and then I did it again at the hotel, and then again in the shower. And I realized now that was a sugar crash because of having all that sugar all day long.
Yeah.
But and now I'm like, okay. I mean, I've just learned so much from it.
You
Like
learned
that's the thing
so
is
much. Yeah.
the bad days are so good for learning. The
Yeah.
good days they should be good for learning, but a lot of times we're celebrating too much to stop and look back.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
just a super good trip. It was a good day. It was
Right.
amazing.
I love it. Well, thanks for sharing because I know a lot of people don't really realize that. I mean, doing an Ironman in 10 hours and 46 minutes and 47 seconds is hard. Doing an Ironman in 17 hours is even harder. Like, there's no way. Like, I don't think I could do it. So, kudos to you
Well,
for making that happen.
yeah, yeah. Well, then, not to refresh you, but I was like, we took off a couple weeks, and it was like, all right, let's ramp back up for I'm in Texas.
I know.
And I told everybody, I
I
was like,
know.
this is gonna be the year there's good weather. It's like
Yeah.
barely 80 degrees. It was windy, but and it was just I totally messed up my nutrition a little bit because my head wasn't there for the race. Physically, I was, but I still
Right.
took 30 minutes off my swim. I took an hour off the race, hour and a half off the race overall. You know what I mean? It was just like
It's
still
amazing.
so much
Yeah.
better and good, even though I still messed it
Yes.
up. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking, because like we all know about the packs on the tollway and like the
Oh
drafting, and
gosh,
I'm riding
yes.
along, and I'm thinking, where are all these packs? I could use a draft right now and get to the turnaround. There's 20 people behind me. And I'm like, wait, why am I pulling this pack? Like, all these
Right,
people.
right.
But yeah, it was
That's
it was
funny.
and it was also a good day. It's always good to finish before
Yeah.
midnight.
100%. 100%. Tim, where can people find you online?
I mean my website, timtarpley.com, and then
Okay.
Facebook, Tim Tarpley. I got my Facebook, I got my page, I've got an Instagram's Tarpley Tim, but yeah, it's just
Perfect.
I
And
give
we'll
my
we'll
stuff
put that
out
all in
so
the
much.
show notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody will. I get texts from strangers from all over. I mean, my phone was not private,
Which is
so
great. I love it. Can you so I always have that one last question, right? And you
okay.
answered it for me on my form, but I think I would like for you to share with it. Share the followers what this is this your transformation. So how can you, let me rephrase this. Can you give our listeners how to start their own transformation and become their own butterfly? What's one advice do
Wow.
you have for?
Here's what's funny. I did that form I think this morning. I have no idea what I said on the form, so this is like a new question. So
I
here,
love
I
what you
mean,
said.
I have no idea, but I
Do
think
you want me
here's
to
the
do you
thing.
want me to tell you?
Let me say what I think first, because I think I
Okay.
change a lot.
Okay. Let's do
So
that. Yep.
because I've been there, and I think I think you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to know where you are, be it rock bottom or close, and you have to know where you want to be. And I think
Hmm.
that is the key And then it's just a matter of filling in the blanks.
Beautiful.
Now, what did I actually say?
You put, it started with me becoming honest with myself. I acknowledge my
Okay.
strength and my weaknesses, then made choices to improve and correct. So you nailed it.
Well,
You did it.
here's what it was. Why am I getting emotional now?
Aw.
Yeah, I just talked about my personal problem, and now when I'm about to say this, I'm getting emotional. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do training wise, and I asked you, I'm not sure what I need, and you said this. You said, if you could do it by yourself, why haven't you? And I was like, oh shit, that's right. I can't do it by myself. So there you go.
Aw.
It's okay to
Well,
ask for help.
yes, I am still, yeah, ask for help. Like, and that's what we're here for as coaches. As a triathlon coach, a marathon coach, Tim is coaching as well. What do you call yourself?
Life enhancement specialist.
Like life enhancement
Yeah.
specialist. I love, yeah, fitness coach. Like, I think having help and community is crucial, whether that's coming from family, friends, coaches, team, whatever that might be. So
Yeah.
if y'all are loving the Everyday Healthy Human podcast, I would love for you to rate, subscribe, share, just do whatever you can to get the word out, because here in Costa Rica, what do I like to say? Pura vida and ciao.